Hi guys, this is Michelle with the Blu Empress, bringing you one of my favorite fairy tales from when I was a little girl. Join my Patreon family where I upload new stories for adults and kids each month. I have MP3 and MP4s available for download, so you can take your stories anywhere. So let's get comfortable and get ready for an incredible story of the goose that laid the golden egg. Enjoy. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a young girl named Charlotte who lived in a small house on a farm with her parents. They only had one very old cow, an even older pig, and a small patch of land where they grew their vegetables they sold at the market. Charlotte loved their tiny home and the few animals they had. She loved spending time in the garden helping her mother and watching the flowers grow. One day, Charlotte went into the forest to pick berries for her mother to make a pie. While she was out there, she saw a beautiful white goose. The goose came right up to her and seemed to be trying to tell her something. She stayed with her all day until she put the very last berry in her basket and started the long walk home. The little girl wanted to take the goose home with her, but she didn't think her parents would let her keep it. She gently patted the goose on the head and said goodbye. She was surprised to find the goose following close behind her and walked with her all the way home. And she was right. Her mother and father didn't want her to keep the goose. They were worried about another mouth to feed. Charlotte reminded them that the goose would lay eggs, and so it would be worth it to keep her. Finally, her parents agreed. She would get to keep the goose after all. Well, even though it looked like any other ordinary goose, this goose was special. Charlotte went to bed that night, excited to see her goose the next morning. As soon as the sun came up, she ran out into the barn to check on her new friend. She was amazed to find that the goose had laid an unusually large egg and was excited to show it to her parents. The goose was happy to give the little girl the egg, and she took it and ran proudly inside to her mother cooking breakfast in the kitchen. "Well," her mother said, "how wonderful! That is the biggest egg I've ever seen." She set it down by the stove and continued making breakfast. At last she picked up the egg, and when she went to crack it open, she heard a loud clang in the bowl. "What is this?" she asked. When she took a closer look, she couldn't believe what she saw. "Quick! Go and get your father! Oh, I can't believe it!" Soon, all of them stood peering down into the bowl. Her father, scratching his head, said it couldn't be. He picked up a small round object and held it up in the light from the window. "A golden egg," he said. "It's solid gold. How can this happen?" he asked. "Charlotte, is this from your goose?" She shook her head without saying a word, and they all sat down at the table quietly. They couldn't believe their good luck. The father snatched up the egg, jumped up quickly to get dressed, and ran all the way to the farmer's market. He was so excited he forgot to take the vegetables for sale that day, and forgot to say anything to his neighbors as he ran past them on the street. When he got to the market, a crowd gathered around him. Everyone was pointing and whispering loudly as he pulled out the egg. Of course, no one believed where the strange egg had come from, but the farmer didn't care. He quickly sold the egg for a very nice price and skipped all the way back home. Throwing open the door to the house, he flew into the kitchen and laid the money on the table. They could finally fix the farm. Oh, they could buy more animals. They would never have to worry again. Every morning the goose laid a beautiful, glittering gold egg, and each day the father would take the egg back down to the market to sell it. And so it went, day after day. Charlotte loved the goose, and they spent every day together. She would sit and talk to her, and the goose would listen carefully.